Listen to this rhythm: chuff, 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 like someone breathing hard on a cold morning. Then a long whistle sweeps through the valley, making you turn your head even before you see the train. White steam bursts around the steel wheels. Condensation spits and ticks onto the ballast. The smell of hot oil and coal smoke clings lightly to the wind. That is when you know the machine is doing real work. This steam engine episode is a trip that needs no ticket, only your ears. A steam train pulls you through the redwood forests of California, out into Nevada's wide open sky, up Sierra grades where a shay clatters with gearing, then into a crowded steamfest yard, smoke hanging like fog. I will keep it short and easy to follow. Where the steam goes, how the piston pushes, why the chuff thickens on a climb. Sit still and listen closely. Every beat is a piece of history rolling on rails. Skunk train number 45, steam through the redwood forest. In the redwood forest, steam looks better than anywhere else because the dark, damp trees make white exhaust stand out like fog being torn from the stack. Number 45 pulls the skunk train past towering trunks. Steel wheels grind lightly on the rails. Every joint goes clack, clack, as clear as a drumbeat. Up close, you see the side rods running exposed, oil shining on the joints, and every piston hit becoming a real pull. On a level track, the chuff is wider spaced and smoother. On a heavier stretch, the beat thickens immediately, like someone breathing faster in the forest cold. And with just a little attention, you start to read the locomotive by ear. Mechanically, number 45 follows the classic steam script. Fire heats the boiler, water boils into steam. Steam builds pressure and is then metered by the regulator lever into the cylinders. Steam pushes the piston back and forth. The side rod turns straight motion into rotation at the driving wheels. Spent steam is exhausted outside. That is the sound you hear. And the exhaust jet pulls smoke up the stack like an invisible fan. The heavier the load, the stronger the exhaust, the taller the smoke. Standing beside the rails, you see the beauty of old technology. Very little is hidden, and every movement tells the truth. As number 45 disappears behind the trees, the deep green of the redwoods gives way to high sky and dry ground. Nevada enters with a whistle that carries very far. Nevada. Smoke stands straight, and the whistle sounds like it is calling the desert.
Cooler than last year. Should I push this forward now? And then pull this back, right?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. How'd you guys up here? Oh, it was.
Leaving the cold, damp redwood forest, Nevada opens up like one huge breath. High sky, dry sun, tracks running straight through the yellow earth and fine dust. Here, smoke no longer hangs in the tree cover. It rises straight up, then the wind tears it into a long ribbon, and from far away you can already see a bright streak moving across the land. The whistle sounds different too. Dry, distant, echoing off the hillsides like someone calling across space. Standing beside the rails, you hear wheels go clack, clack over the joints. You hear exhaust snapping out in beats, and you feel a light tremor travel up through the soles of your feet. It is not loud in a modern way. It is the sound of a machine working in a steady rhythm. There is a very real kind of Western nostalgia out here. Railroads were once the thread that tied mining towns and far-apart lives together. Steam not only carried freight, it carried news, letters, and hope. So every time a locomotive roars, people not only watch the machine, they see an era that lived by that whistle. It pulls slow but sure, like an old hand who knows the job. Not rushed, not showy, just moving forward. You see smoke thin when the load eases and thicken when the work gets heavier. You hear the chuff tighten like a heartbeat rising on a climb. And that moment, when the rhythm thickens, reminds you what is coming. Terrain where adhesion matters, tight curves, forest grades, places where a locomotive can slip. And that is exactly where a shay was built not to slip. Shay number 10, gear clatter, climbing grip like claws. moment shay number 10 appears, your ears recognize it. Alongside the chuff, there is the clatter of gears running under the frame. That is the biggest difference. A typical steam locomotive sends power straight from the piston through rods to the wheels. The shay is different. It was born for logging lines, steep grades, sharp curves, light rail, places where direct drive can slip and lose the beat. The shay chooses a slow, sure pull, like a mountain climber taking careful steps without falling. The shay's mechanism is easy to picture if you imagine a rough gearbox. The piston drives a crankshaft. That shaft runs lengthwise along the locomotive and meshes into gears at each axle. Force is distributed evenly. Grip is distributed evenly. So on a grade, it does not strain once and then slip. It just keeps pulling, keeps crawling, sounding like it is chewing the rails with steel teeth. Because the speed is low, you can see every movement clearly. The spinning shaft, the gear joints, oil shining on metal, condensation blowing thinner because it does not need violent exhaust. Hearing a shay run is hearing a different kind of labor. Less spectacle, more certainty. The shay's emotion is patience. It does not give you the grand thunder of big steam. It gives you trust. Up the grade, it still goes. Into the curve, it still grips. It pulls evenly without stumbling. Standing in a pine forest, hearing steel gear teeth and steam blend together, you feel like you are looking back into the logging era, when every trip was a day's livelihood. As that gear clatter fades, the atmosphere suddenly feels lighter. A compact Old West-style locomotive is about to speak. Inyo. Inyo 440. Compact, Old West the moment the whistle sounds. Inyo is the kind of locomotive you only need to see once to feel the spirit of the West. A tidy, compact body, brass details gleaming under the sun, and a gentle steam hiss like history breathing. The 440 American wheel arrangement was born for an era of lighter rail and tight curves, so it is extremely agile, quick to turn, perfect for short routes and heritage demonstrations. Inyo's voice is not as dense or heavy as the later giant locomotives. It is clear and compact, letting you hear each piston beat land, then release with crisp finality. Each time the whistle carries out, dry and far, you naturally picture wooden depots, dusty roads, and an era when a train arriving was the biggest event in town. Mechanically, Inyo gives us a visible lesson. Steam enters the cylinder. The piston pushes. The side rods rise and fall and pull the iron wheels into rotation. Just watching that rod gear work, you immediately understand how thermal energy becomes straight motion, then becomes rotational force. By listening to the exhaust, you can guess when the engine is taking a load and when it is coasting. Inyo does not need speed to be compelling. It wins the audience with its own breathing rhythm and presence. Each machine has a voice. Each steam beat carries a life. Do you choose the deep forest chuff, the desert whistle? The gear grinds on a grade, or the Old West legend Inyo? Call out the machine you love most in the comments right below this. Steam Engine will prioritize restoring and bringing the most requested sounds into the next episode. The whistle has barely faded when the crowded festival yard starts to swell with noise. A line of tank engines rolls in, and smoke and exhaust stack on top of each other like rapid drum beats. Steamfest. Tank engines working together, smoke hanging like fog. Steamfest has a kind of fun that is pure ear candy. Multiple locomotives breathing in the same space. Tank engines carry their water on the locomotive, so they are compact, agile, ideal for short lines and continuous demonstrations. When they run, exhaust sounds closer because the whole locomotive is a full mass of water and steam right over the wheels. There are double head moments, two chuff rhythms layered together. When they match, it feels like a double heartbeat. When they drift, it feels like two people pulling the same rope while breathing differently. Spectators stand close to the fence, laughing and pointing as white steam wraps around the wheels. Then the wind tears it sideways through the crowd like mist. Technically, this is the easiest place to learn. Light load means thinner exhaust. Heavy load means thicker sound. More throttle means smoke stands up. back off and the smoke softens. You hear wheels over joints going clack, clack. You hear a light brake squeal as they come into the station. You hear short valve hisses at release. And inside all that lively noise, discipline still exists. Hold distance, watch signals, ease the load at the right time so the cars do not jerk. Steam looks its best when it works in the right rhythm. Leaving the festival yard, the scene shifts into something more cinematic. A 460 locomotive that once appeared on film is pulling a train past an old station like a real movie shot. Sierra number 3, steam is stepping out of the film set. Sierra number 3 has a strange kind of presence. It looks like a main character. A compact body, a tall stack, a whistle with classic color. It has appeared in many films and TV shows, so the moment it rolls past an old station scene, you feel like you are watching a familiar shot again. But what holds people is not fame, it is rhythm. No, 3 runs, slow enough for you to see the side rods clearly, to hear each exhaust beat, and to catch the metal tapping time under the frame. Mechanically, it is still the familiar steam lesson. Fire heats the boiler, steam builds pressure. It enters the cylinder and drives the piston. The side rods pull the wheels. The beauty is how clearly you can see the link between load and sound. Pulling hard makes the exhaust thicker. Easing off makes it softer. Strong exhaust pulls smoke up the stack, drawing a smoke column as clear as a mark against the sky. Number 3 is not loud in an industrial way. It is warm and rounded, like a story told in steel. Before that cinematic air fades, the playground changes tone again. The train enters a park, running closer to people. Shorter whistles, lower speed, but nostalgia feels closer. Parks and short track. Steam is at its closest to people. In a park, steam is no longer far away on a mountainside. It runs close to the fence, close to laughter, close to waving hands. The rhythm is smoother because loads are light and runs are short. Smoke is thinner, but you hear the small sounds more clearly. Steam is hissing at the valves, condensation ticking, a light brake touch, wheels murmuring through curves. This is where older visitors often stand the longest. No zoom needed, no chasing. Just stand still and listen, and it is enough. Technically, short track is where you feel what documentaries often skip. Steam works in beats, so every change is audible. Open the throttle a little and the exhaust thickens. Back off and it softens. The train comes into the station, brakes applied smoothly so the cars do not jerk. Everything looks gentle, but it is still the discipline of fire and water.
A vintage machine runs beautifully, not when it runs fast, but when it runs right. From that close laughter and calm rhythm, the rails pull us back into the mountains. Up there, narrow gauge track and long grades reveal steam's real pulling power.
Durango and Silverton, number 482. Narrow gauge strength on the crest of the grade. High mountains are where steam cannot act. And on this narrow gauge line, number 482 must show real pulling force. Unlike standard gauge, narrow gauge lets the track snake along cliff edges and into sharp curves that big trains could never take. When the train climbs, the exhaust rhythm thickens clearly because steam pressure must work at maximum to beat gravity. You will hear a flange squeal on a narrow gauge, a sharper, harder sound than usual. The engineer must hold a perfect balance between boiler pressure and traction so the wheels do not slip on Colorado rock grades. When the train crests the top, the engine sound softens, like iron and steel breathing out in the high wilderness. Conclusion.
chuff that preserves an entire Old West. A steam trains galore trip does not need fancy words. It only needs a distant whistle, steel wheels going clack clack over joints, and a chuff chuff that thickens on every climb. Redwood forests give white exhaust like fog. Nevada gives a dry, far-reaching whistle. The Shea gives gear clatter and grade grip. Inyo gives pure Old West character. Steamfest gives layered smoke like a festival day. Climbing with number 482. You see steam doing real work with nothing hidden. When you leave the rails, the scent of hot oil still lingers and the beat still thumps in your ears. That is why people watch steam, to hear history breathe right in front of them.